The New York Giants have hired Brian Daboll to be their next head coach. And the really big thing here, the reason it's exciting for the Giants is the same reason that it's alarming for Buffalo. Brian Daboll is the guy who played the biggest role in developing Josh Allen, the quarterback in Buffalo, into an elite quarterback. Brian Daboll was the offensive coordinator in Buffalo. It looks like, by the way, he will also be taking Ken Dorsey with him, who was the quarterback coach in Buffalo. And there's already so much to break down just from that. I don't think that Josh Allen is going to fall off a cliff when Brian Daboll leaves or anything like that. But having a new play caller could slow him down a little bit next year, and there could be an adjustment period early on in the year as he gets used to a new offense with a new coordinator. He's amazing, though, and part of what he does really, really well is extend plays and do stuff outside of structure that, frankly, doesn't rely on play calling. Now, crediting Brian Daboll and Ken Dorsey alone as the sole reason Josh Allen became an elite quarterback would be wrong, in my opinion. You know, for example, Josh Allen works with Jordan Palmer in the offseason, a great quarterback coach. Plus, you can't discount the work ethic and the stuff that Josh Allen did by himself. Like, Josh Allen's work ethic is incredible. A friend of mine played with him at college at Wyoming. He has story after story about, he was actually one of Josh Allen's wide receivers, James Price. He always talks about how great Josh Allen's work ethic was and what kind of person he is. And you can't solely give credit to a coach and not acknowledge, hey, the work Josh did by himself, plus the stuff he did in the offseason. I think it's a little bit problematic to solely credit a coach with a quarterback's success because, you know, for example, Joe Brady, who coached Joe Burrow at LSU, got credited for developing Joe Burrow. And then he failed as an offensive coordinator in Carolina, and he could not turn Sam Darnold into the franchise quarterback and really save his career. So I don't really love giving all the credit to a coach. And it does look like the Giants are sticking with Daniel Jones as their quarterback. And look, by the way, getting Brian Daboll and Ken Dorsey probably could be the best thing that ever happens to Daniel Jones. Getting them as his coaches, probably the best thing that'll ever happen to him. But it is, let's be clear, not a 100% guarantee they can turn things around, make him into a franchise quarterback. Like, not every quarterback guru or coach can replicate their success with somebody else. Now, one thing I love about Daniel Jones, though, is that he has talent, right? The dude can run really well. He's got a good arm. I have an open mind here, and I can't wait to see him play for Brian Daboll. I think we're going to get that. So I'm hopeful, but not all in on the fact that it'll work. Now, the Giants do have two top 10 picks, the number 5 overall pick and the number 7 overall pick. And if Daniel Jones is the quarterback and the guy for the Giants, they could use those picks to really build up their team. Although I do hope they take a long, hard look at the Liberty quarterback, Malik Willis, in the NFL draft, because drafting him is at least worth considering given his unreal skill set, his ability to run, extend plays. He has a huge arm. He can do certain stuff that other quarterbacks simply cannot do in the NFL draft. And him paired with Brian Daboll's offense could actually be very similar to Josh Allen. And I love that idea of him developing Malik Willis. It's an idea, though. In all likelihood, Brian Daboll will probably be expected to work solely with Daniel Jones, and kind of maybe the reason why they're hiring him even is because they want Daniel Jones to be their franchise quarterback. So first of all, whether it's Daniel Jones or someone else, I have confidence that eventually good quarterback play will return to New York under Brian Daboll. I just don't know that he can resurrect. I don't know that Daniel Jones is the guy. We'll see. He probably can resurrect his career and turn him into a franchise quarterback, but I'm not fully sold on that. It does raise an interesting question. Why did Brian Daboll choose the Giants? You would assume, I would imagine, he had a lot of options given his past experience, the resume he put together at Alabama, then at Buffalo developing Josh Allen. I mean, he could have gone to Minnesota. They've got a ton of offensive weapons there. Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook. Like, you would think, hey, an offensive coach would want to be there. The Raiders have Derek Carr. Maybe the Giants were his only option, but it does make me curious. Why choose to work with Daniel Jones at quarterback when you had, I would assume, other options out there? Now, one really big reason is that there was a connection. The Giants hired Joe Schoen to be their general manager. He was the assistant GM in Buffalo. I would assume Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll had a relationship together up in Buffalo. Also, remember Brian Daboll was born in Canada, near like 30 minutes away from Niagara Falls, so near the border of New York and Canada. And you can kind of say he's from the area, not really, but it's a lot closer to go home, wherever he, visit family from New York than it is from Las Vegas or Minnesota. And maybe being close to family means something to him. Maybe he just likes the area. Maybe he's a Giants fan. You never know. This could be a dream job for him, even. I think the main thing I want to say here, though, is that I truly believe the Giants are lucky to have him. And it's a great hire. I really believe Brian Daboll can produce high-level quarterback play in New York. I don't know who that quarterback's going to be. Probably Daniel Jones. But, man, I think Brian Daboll is one of the most desirable coaches out there in the market. And I thought the Chicago Bears should have hired him, frankly. And so I am very, very excited to watch Brian Daboll as a head coach in New York. And I've got a lot of confidence he is going to work. And I'm excited. I really think that the year the Giants had last year was a bad one. It wasn't a good one, but it really led to some really positive changes happening in New York. And I'm so excited to see what happens under Brian Daboll with the Giants and him as their new head coach.